how do people that we are speaking to absorb information that we're conveying? Well, the one thing that we know about speakers and communicators going back to the dawn of time, particularly heightened now in a world where we are overwhelmed by a quantity of information, they tend to remember the first thing that you say. They tend to remember the last thing you say, but they're not so sure about specifically what you said in the middle. That is called the primacy-recency effect. You have their attention at the very beginning. As you begin to speak, the attention span begins to diminish because you are competing for time and attention. And the more time that goes on, the more the attention of the listener begins to diminish. What we also know is when you are concluding what you are saying, people begin to now listen because they sense that you're about to finish and they want to key into what it is you're about to conclude with. So that's the good logical starting point. And the reason that's most important in the corporate world is because people spend a lot of time in meetings, and people will admittedly say these meetings are a colossal waste of time. So when it comes to the primacy effect and you want to speak to somebody with impact in the first 15 seconds, start differently. Start in ways that are unexpected. Rather than doing the same old thing that everyone else does, there are many techniques we discuss in the book, such as provoking a question, starting with an insightful quote, putting up a picture that draws people into the curiosity. Wow, what is that? Where is he or she going with this? And then when you conclude, whether it's a conversation or a speech, try to think about it the same way. Try to think about how you opened it in such a way that you got their attention. Use those same techniques toward the end where you can say, and it's called closing the loop, I ended where I began. Just like life is a circle, try to think about it in a circular motion. Beginnings, ends. Like two good bookends, they have the foundation to keep everything in the middle that may be forgotten. But if they remember the first and the last, that's what you wanted to convey. Be mindful that those are the most important parts of that commandment.
Yeah, I love that. And it doesn't mean that that middle part, that second act, isn't important. It doesn't devalue that, but it's just playing on the truth that someone's going to be most connected to you at the top and the bottom of the engagement.
It's a good point, Dominic, because what happens then, if somebody doesn't remember the exact words in the middle of that there's one thing they will remember, and that's how you made them feel. And what they are keying in as you are speaking, even if they can't remember word to word, they're looking at your eye contact, they're looking at your body language, they are observing every part of you. Even though they didn't remember word for word because there's just too many words to remember, there's a certain feeling that evokes that any individual speaking to somebody else is passing that feeling on, and it's bouncing right back to them. If you're speaking in obnoxious or arrogant tones, that's what they're going to remember. And when somebody asks, what did he say? I don't know. He was so arrogant and such a blowhard. I have no idea what he said because I stopped listening. Which leads to our second commandment. While the first is a very tactical thing about time and attention, it was pretty logical for me to now flip that and to balance the first commandment with the second commandment, which is called the power of emotional appeal. And I think that has become even more important, Dominic, in the COVID crisis, in that we are now in a world that seems to be less driven by facts because we often don't know what the facts are.